Welcome to the Dabbling with Daba podcast, a production of the Owen Sound Alliance Church. In this episode, Deb and Rebecca provide the backstory for their honorary Senegalese names. They share a few short testimonies, and Tim stops by to talk about soccer ministry and the lessons he took home. For reasons of confidentiality, some names have been changed. If you make it to the end of the episode, you'll get a travel tip and the Santi Allah devotional moment. So pack your bags. It's time to dabble.
Welcome to Dabbling with Daba. I'm Deb.
And I'm Rebecca.
Welcome.
Dabbling with Daba.
Yes.
You said your name was Deb. So
It is, but my honorary name is Daba Chem.
Okay, Daba Chem. Why not Deb?
Well, because Deb was really hard for them to get. And when Deborah was put forward, that's all well and good, but it's not my favorite.
You didn't feel Deborah through the core?
So honorary name was very cool. The best thing closest to Deb was Daba. So I got Daba.
And easy to spell.
It is very easy, very easy to spell. And so my last name came from one of the families in the community. I received her name. So it became Daba Chem.
Yeah, Nikki was telling us that they often just pass on their family name to their kids and everything.
Yeah. So it's an honor. Remember. I consider it an honor. It was really cool.
Yeah,
so
that is cool.
I am Daba Chan. You, on the other hand, are not Rebecca.
I am.
Why not?
No one could get the name Rebecca. Believe it or not, it wasn't on their radar. So Nikki gave me Rokhaya because it's very similar. And then a lady gave me her name of Say. So it's Rokhaya Say.
Yeah, that's a really cool name.
Yes.
I like it. But I do feel honored. I just...
Totally.
And it sounds funny not being called that sometimes, especially amongst the people we went to Senegal with.
Yeah,
right?
I actually did see Tim once in Bulk Barn, and I heard the name Rokhaya yelled across the store, and I was like, wait a minute.
Wow, that is fun.
Yeah.
See? It's everywhere.
I knew who they were talking to. So when we were on the trip, we heard a lot of testimonies from locals, people that Mike and Nikki knew and had relationships with, and we found there was a really common theme in all these testimonies. What did you find as the common theme?
I think the common theme was really people came with a vision, and it was a vision to show God to other people and to have other people come towards God.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And that is a vision in a culture that is primarily Muslim, right?
Remember the James's house that we went to?
The James's house.
The James's house. We can't use his name, so it's James.
Oh, I thought it was John.
I know, I forgot.
Okay, yes, I do.
Yes, so remember James's house?
Yes.
He was someone that really stood out to me in the sense that he was just sent to Chess to start a church from his pastor in Dakar with nothing but a house. And he had a vision that a church would be started. And did he ever just work hard for that?
And he had, in the front where we met, that was kind of his chapel area.
Yeah.
Right?
He said he had only 5 people coming, I think, at the time. But he had hope for the whole house to be filled.
Yep. So another one that stood out to me was the couple who had a home and had at-risk children, girls, and young women, husband and wife, John and Jane, for our purposes. And just they wanted to give safe haven to these girls and women, and some of them had physical challenges, like considerable physical challenges. Yeah. But it was amazing to see them all chipping in, all helping, all joining together. That was a vision for John and Jane, right? That was just really special to see.
Yeah, and it was cool that Jane was teaching the girls. I remember her saying she was teaching them like sewing, cooking, valuable life skills that they could use later on.
Yeah.
And
all these testimonies that we heard all had some kind of, I had to give up something to come where I am and follow Jesus.
Yeah.
And they gave up family. They literally
Majorly.
gave up family
Yeah.
on both sides. Both
Yes.
John, and Jane, both gave up
Yes.
families,
Well,
and
we can't even
just so
understand it.
desperately want their families back.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there are open doors or open windows, maybe,
Yeah.
that there's a little bit coming here and
Yeah.
there. It gives hope.
It gives
It's
hope for sure.
encouraging. It's hopeful that God is still working.
Yeah.
And
And
isn't
gave him
that
a new family, like
Yeah.
family of Christ, really.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So yeah, that was another visionary thing, that home.
Started from nothing and now they're,
I think
Yeah.
it was amazing.
yeah.
So yeah.
Should we get
Should
Timotei
we?
in here?
Should we?
Okay, Tim! So today we welcome our first special guest on the podcast, Tim.
Daba and Rokhaya.
Hello, Timotei.
This would be my husband.
No way.
Oh yeah.
What?
Yeah, I
I
know.
feel like that would have been good information on the trip.
Oh, right.
Thanks, Rokhaya.
Yeah.
Sure.
Awesome. Okay, then.
Yeah.
So, Tim, why yes to Senegal? Why did you say yes?
Sure. I think it was really pretty easy for me. I think when I saw who we were going to, and that being Mike and Nikki, I saw Mike, who happened to be a student of mine years previous, and more than just that, he was an athlete on a team that I was a coach and a part of that team in that way, and we had kind of walked with each other in that time or season of his life. So it was just kind of this second go round into his life. And of course, Nikki had been a girl in the youth ministry at the church, so I knew of her and I knew of her family. So it was really an easy thing to do in that it was so familiar. And then the country, I didn't really have any misgivings about the country. Sure, it's a language that I struggle with, French, but that wasn't going to stop me. So the familiarity was really the biggest piece, and the chance to see what a young person or young people were doing with their lives in ministry. So yeah, thanks for the question.
Totally different vibes there. You didn't want to go at all, and you were gun ho.
I know, but it was warm. I would have gone.
Yeah.
The weather helped a lot.
It was still an ask. It was, Deb, this is what I think we should do, but you need to pray about it. You need to think about it, and take the time that you need to take to make the decision. It certainly wasn't a rushed decision, right?
Yes,
like
no.
we had lots of time to see where we were both at, see if we're both on the same page, and as is important in marriage and in trips like this, right? To even though he brings us together for different reasons, it's kind of cool to find out what the reasons are and to share them like throughout the trip, right? Yeah.
Well, I'm sure glad
Nice.
there was a yes on your guys' end.
Thank you.
So we were kind of talking today about different testimonies that we heard
Sure.
from the people on the trip.
Yep.
And
Yep.
yeah, I guess we're curious if anyone stood out to you.
Yeah. It's interesting, because we're sharing about specific people. I'll call this fella Bob. I know you'll enjoy that name. It works both ways.
It's not a J.
We
No,
tried
it's
to
not
stick
a-
with J names,
Did you?
so
Oh.
this is awkward.
Sorry. We should have rehearsed that before. I would have come up with a J. Well, let's say, so Mike took us to a spot where he and I share an interest, a soccer ministry. And, like anything in the area, you come along and usually you come down some dirt road and like the school that we will talk about, I'm sure in some other episode, it's like this little jewel at the end of some beat up old, road. And so when we came to the place where the soccer ministry was taking place in, that wasn't the case. It was a beat up old road with a beat up old house at the end of it. And then before we saw the base for the ministry, the house that the ministry leader was living in or had built and was now living in, the rest of the stuff was beat up and it looked like somebody'd forgotten it, So you kind of go in and go, okay, so what is he going to say and how is he going to talk about what he sees in this ministry? for people that know soccer, they know that both Africa and Senegal are crazy about soccer. We know that Senegal has now, since we've been there, has now been the Africa Cup champion. So it's a really big deal in Senegal. So this fella had come from another country. He was formerly a professional player in his own home country. And he'd come from another country and done a soccer ministry there. So when he started to talk about his soccer ministry, I think we instantly became engaged because we could see how big his faith was. Because when we went out onto that beat up old soccer pitch, and it looked like some sand with a bunch of weeds.
You didn't want to start playing soccer on it?
I didn't. No. There are a couple that, that thought, well, we could start somehow, but no. But he started looking at it, and his vision, it worked for me because I think in pictures. And he started, and he went, and he looked out on the field of weeds, and he said, in this sand, we're going to have, a turf field, and we're going to have stands, and we're going to have a concession, and change rooms, and just a facility. When, as he described it, we're going, okay, sure, right? Like your vision is a great one, because we could, particularly I could see the pictures of what he was describing and coming into realization. And then when he moved into talking about, developing players, and when he talked about developing referees, at some point in the conversation, he stepped away from what we were looking at in his conversation and started talking about where he'd come from. So he'd been in another country and had done a similar ministry. And he started with what we were looking at again. So we were looking back out at this beat up old space that was mostly sand, and certainly it had 2 soccer frames at either end of the field. But then he told us about how he'd started in this other African country a ministry similar to this. And it was, it developed into something that was grand and nationally recognized, and brought that country from a place where soccer couldn't be played because of the hooliganism, the lack of respect of the player for other players, the lack of respect for the referees. And he went about describing the process that he developed over a few years, I imagine, where he taught kids how to play and respect other players. He taught referees how to referee the game properly. What he did was he established a game that could be played without it falling apart and not being able to come to a finish point. And it was interesting because in one of his conversations around this, he said, when we first came and we were first introduced to the soccer play and we saw how it was going on, it was in shambles. They weren't able to play games. They weren't able to do leagues. They weren't able to come up with club champions. And at the end of his time there were skillful referees. There were players who would respect each other in the field of play, to the point where the system of play had developed so much that the government had recognized his contribution in the sport so much that he was going to be placed in a position where he would be in charge of soccer or football in that country and organizing all the systems of play, the systems of developing players and referees. And he kind of brought it full circle around, because what he really gave us was an idea that God had taken him through steps in another place and built his faith by seeing how all these things were possible. So what we saw is totally impossible here. Like, what you're going to bring the neighborhood guys to come over and play in this field of weeds and teach them how to play and teach and bring kids that want to become referees and teach them how to be referees on this. And it started to, where I saw the picture before, the reality started to fill in. It really did. You could see how much he had been sort of built up in his faith, rooted in his faith from his previous experience in this other country. And I know it's a kind of a long-winded answer, which is the way I do things, but tremendous vision still, but that significant piece that where God had developed him through taking him through faith step by step, and now he was doing it again. It seemed very bold to us, but coming back again, he really inspired us. I think, because when I look at everything my takeaway, when I look at everything that he didn't have, like everything that he was doing, and there wasn't anything to work with. And when I come back home here and I see that we have so much here, we have so much equipment, so much education, so much in the way of facility, and our first inclination, or my first inclination, is, well, I don't have this, or I can't do that, or this is hard to do. And yet, when I think back to Bob and his example, that never stopped him. In fact, that just challenged him to go, oh, this won't work. This is impossible. No problem. We'll just move forward. Really, really inspiring. What a great testimony. And I hope that not only are the young men from the neighborhood coming to play, informal games after their workday is done, but that some of these things are already starting since we've left, and it's only been a matter of a few months. But Bob's a real inspiration and an example of taking something that I think that society really values, that particular sport, and making it important and helping them to do things that they love and enjoy.
Yeah, you mentioned kind of already about how it affected you coming home, but having heard that, do you want to expand on how that, because you are a coach, running coach here,
sure, how
that changed how you're going to approach things here, or how do you have a bigger idea now that you've thought of, or the Lord has placed on your heart?
Yeah, I think that's really important question. Yeah, I think it takes the focus off of what I can do, and really kind of what's God already doing, and what could God take out of, this isn't working, and he can just take sort of that impossibility and pull it out of that situation and replace it with a possibility. Where, for instance, say some young person can't access practice, he'll make a way in a simple fashion and say, well, Mrs. Smith can drive you to practice, that kind of thing, so that you don't have to be out of that. Or, where you don't have money for something, people, you never know where people hear about the needs of, practical needs, and he can supply those. Yeah, so we no longer look at what's impossible. Just see where God will make it possible.
Do you have any other questions?
No, that about covers it.
That's enough? Yeah, that's enough for me? Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, thank you, though. Your the testimony you shared and the inspiration that you have gained from it, that's special. I mean, that's
totally.
We all wanted to come away with something of that nature.
We did. Yeah, we really
did.
Was
part of our
and I think we did.
goal.
Maybe not. With our
They're
own
all
expression
different.
of it. Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think we kind of want to share a travel tip.
Okay.
At the end of every episode. So I was thinking of something out of nothing. And I was thinking of when at a time there was absolutely nothing.
Right.
And it was when we were at the airport and we had to take the bus transferred
to
the terminal that we would be taking off of. And we were told, it's okay, there's food at that side of the airport after you take the bus. Just wait to get your dinner there. And we were early. Like, we were doing well with time.
So here is the travel tip.
Yes.
If you go to the terminal you were supposed to start at, and then they tell you that you will be taking transportation to get to your airplane in any way, shape, or form, the terminal you are currently in is where you want to get all your
Get
food.
your
Yes.
food.
So
yes.
that has happened to Tim and I on a previous
Yeah.
flight going somewhere else.
Okay, so
Where
you
we
should have
had
known.
to, if we should have known. Well, I tried, but
It's Daba's fault.
yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
It's just that
But-
wish that, okay, if I wait, then there'll be more and it'll be cheaper. And it's the opposite. There's less and it's more expensive.
What was there?
Oh, $15
Vending machine.
vending machine sandwiches. They were very special.
There was 2 to choose from. And they were
True.
big. They were
Yep.
big.
bigger than you would think for a vending machine sandwich.
Yeah, but
And I had one that had brie and turkey. And I don't remember the other one, but
was the other one chicken?
maybe. I remember watching everyone who came in after us, though, having the same thoughts as us, looking at those sad vending machine sandwiches. So, on your travel, get your food
Soon.
right away.
At the main terminal you first got
So many
to.
options that we missed
That's
out
it.
on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Including probably good coffee. So Santa Ala, praise God that there is actually food
Santa
in
Ala.
that other terminal-like place at the airport. Yeah.
Definitely. You have
Yeah,
our back.
so I still had no vision of what was going to happen when we got to Senegal, but it was still, a God moment. He still provided.
Yeah.
And, when we talk about all the testimonies we've heard while we were there, and you're sharing what yours, what your insights are and the inspiration you've received, I just want to read a verse and just a little bit of a devotional. Building a relationship with Jesus requires intentional daily pursuit, transforming faith from a routine into a living connection. By spending time in His Word and prayer, you move from knowing about Him to truly knowing Him, allowing His love to guide your daily actions and bring peace to your heart. In Deuteronomy 4:29, it says, you will search for the Lord your God, and you will find Him when you seek Him with all your heart and all your soul. So from us at Dabbling with Daba, we'll see you the next time.
Jamarek.
Jamrack.
God.